Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm the Ultimate Real Estate Diva, and today we're talking about the monopoly of real estate. We're going to touch on some O.P.M. and just get you to understanding how to use real estate to get yourself financially free. You know, my whole thing is that I haven't worked for anybody in over 27 years in the real estate business. And many of you know my background, and if you don't, I have been specifically in investment real estate for almost 19 years now. And one of the things that I learned so many things along the way, but a lot of things that I've learned is that they don't give you a rule book. A lot of these things I had to find out on my own, from making mistakes, from investing large sums of money, from bumping my head. And I have created an area and a course for you guys not to make those mistakes and to get you into real estate basically with little or no money, and to basically be able to play with the big ballers. So today I have a very special guest with me. I have Stanley Jean with me. He took my course probably in October of this past year. And since then, Stanley has 2 major deals he is working big time on. We've been to auctions together. He learned how to do tax sale certificates. And if you know, and if you've been following me, that is the optimal thing that I like to work with is tax sale certificates. But from time to time, you will get lucrative deals that come your way where you have to use O.P.M. And your O.P.M. is another great resource to use. Today, we're going to talk about O.P.M. So welcome, Stanley. Come on in the room. How are you?
Good yourself, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. My name is Stanley, and I'm from Haiti. I'm currently in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I've known Karen since October. A friend of mine introduced me to her, and so I want to get into real estate. I've already started. So I have a duplex, which is a rental property, and then I bought I have my own house right now. But I can say that since I've met Karen, I can say that I'm hopeful. You know, I can see the light. You know, I can say that I'm finally making progress, because having theory, having the knowledge is one thing, but having somebody, you know, for the hands-on portion is I think is the most important. And I can say that right now with Karen, I can say that I'm confident that, you know, I am more likely to achieve my financial freedom in real estate. And like she said, so we're working on 2 deals, and it's because of her. And like I've been looking for houses since 2021, but it seems like nothing was working. But with her, she gave me 2 good deals, and they are very safe. And I'm the kind of person who's I like to do things that are safe. And with her, I don't have to worry about that. Everything that we're doing, my investment is protected.
And that's one of the biggest things I am. I'm not a gambler. I do not like risky real estate deals. I stay far away from them because I like to capitalize off the deal. Plus, I need to know that my money's safe. And that's one of the ways that I encourage tax sale certificates. And Stanley and I started out in looking for tax sale certificates. And in the tax sale certificate right now, the market is so huge. And a lot of people have learned about it. And I've been doing tax sale certificates since about 2001. So tax sale certificates now is on a global recognition. So everybody really has plummeted into that market, which have driven the rates, the price of purchasing even higher. And it makes the competition much more. Can you still get tax sale certificates? Of course. But you have to spend a little bit more than you would normally on tax sale certificates these days. Another thing I like about tax sale certificates, and we'll do a whole nother, I'll do a whole nother course on just tax sale certificates alone. But one of the other things that I really like about tax sale certificates now is post-COVID, it's all online. So you can sit in your home and literally shop online for property and look property up. And Stanley, you have an amazing, I call Stanley sometimes to look property up. He has an amazing app that he has come across where he can really get in. Can you tell us a little bit about that app you use?
Oh, yeah, I use PropStream, so I pay for it. So pretty much once you subscribe, if you have any property, if you have the address, you can type it in, and then it will give you all the information you need about the property, like how much, when they bought it, how much they bought it for, how much they have left on the mortgage, and it will tell you the owner's address, and you can even see the interest rate, they're paying for the house. Pretty much anything you need about the house, everything is there. And then that application too, you can do a skip trace. Skip trace is like, let's say that if I have a house and I need to get the contact information for the owner, and I can click on the skip trace tab, put in the address, and then it will give me their email, phone number, all this kind of stuff. So pretty much everything is right there. So I've been using it, and I think it's a great tool to have. It saves a lot of time.
And it also tells us if this particular owner has any liens against this property, yes, which is super hard sometimes to find out through public records. But the particular app that he pays for and uses, it tells us that as well, Stanley.
Yes. So if the house is in foreclosure, it tells you that. If they have any lien, it tells you that. Yeah. And
taxes, if they have if they haven't paid their taxes.
Yeah, you can see all that. And if they have a line of credit on the house, you can see all that too.
And this is, believe me, guys, this is something you want to get in your arsenal. And I tell everybody, make sure you get an arsenal when you're working in real estate. You got to have tools. I can show you so much, but you got to have your own tools, and I can kind of guide you in the way. So we're going to step into talking about O.P.M. today. And if you don't know, O.P.M. means other people's money, because sometimes, a lot of times in real estate, you don't want to use the cash that you have on hand, because you always want to look at real estate as monopoly. You want to be playing. And I tell people this all the time, and I even help Stanley out with this situation. You do not want to own property to buy property and own it to hold. That is not real estate. Real estate should be traded just like the stock market. When real estate is booming and it's high and you're getting all these astronomical prices for your property, which you're going to do now, the property always goes down and it always falls. So just like when the stock market is up and you're making money off of that stock, you've got to make money off of real estate. There is no, and let me just say this, and I know you guys heard me say this time and time again, you're never going to own any property in America, okay? It's a big hoax. It is a big hoax. You never own the land, all right? Because even if you pay that mortgage off to Zoom Denver, you're never going to own the land. You always have to pay taxes in the land. But they have you thinking that, oh, I'm going to pay this 30-year mortgage off and I'm going to own my home. No, you're never going to own that home. And homes are meant to be traded, just like the stock market. When your home has a lot of equity in it, it's time to sell. One of the things my ex-husband, and I talk about my ex-husband a lot, and him and I still do amazing real estate businesses together, is he always have told me, oops, here comes another one, just like the other one. So never get fixated on one piece of property. You're going to look at the equity in that property and the value of what that property is bringing you, and then go out and get another one. We're looking, my prediction for 2023 is we're going to have one of the biggest real estate crashes that you have seen since 2007. And if you remember in 2007, so my whole idea right now is to get everyone in position and aligned for this real estate crash. If you have property like Stanley had investment property he had been holding on to, but the equity in that property had built so high, it is time to sell, because once the real estate market crashed, that $200,000, $300,000 worth of equity you have in that house is going to go all the way down to maybe $50,000. And that's money you're leaving on the table. You do not want to play around like that right now. And I have gone as far as I teach my students, pull your money out of every resource you have. Renting is not a bad thing sometimes, especially if you're in a city you're not going to stay in, you're not going to put roots down in, but you have real estate in this particular city. While the equity is high in that property, sell that real estate. Go rent you a place for a year. You're walking away with $300,000 or $400,000 in your pocket. You can sit through a recession, but you can't sit through a recession when you have a property and the value of that property is heavily decreased and you're losing money. Now you're upside down in the property because you have a mortgage on that property, and the mortgage is higher than what the property is worth. I've seen so many people go through this motion. So real estate is like a monopoly. You have to pay attention to what's going on with the interest rate. You have to pay attention to what's going on in the stock market, and you have to pay attention with how much equity you have in your property because it does decline. I saw one house that went from, and I think I told you about that house, Stanley. We looked at it in April. The house was worth, I think it was $500,000, and it had dropped to like $450 in 3 months because of the market. Yeah, and that's 50 grand. We'll never get back again.
Yeah.
So with O.P.M, we're looking for ways we can get money without using our own money. Stanley's going to talk about that in a minute, but I'm going to open the segue for it. Guys, you want to be able to use any O.P.M. One of the things for you becoming your own banker, because a lot of us don't have the opportunity to walk into the bank and get a loan for our real estate investments. You don't want to mess with your 401k. But let me just slide this in here because a lot of people don't know this. If you have a 401k, you can take your money in your 401k and roll it over into your own real estate investment business free of taxes, free of getting penalties. And you can use that money to invest yourself. So your 401ks is not just sitting there, okay? These people are taking your money and they're investing it in different ventures and different stocks, making money off of your money. So you got to know and understand you can make your own money off of your money. So with O.P.M, we're looking at opening up lines of equity with your homes that you already have. You can open up lines of equity with your rental property, and this creates a cash flow for you to be able to bid on some of these properties, to be able to come across amazing deals like Stanley has came across with when people are pressed for money, because investors, you're not going to find investment deals on realtor.com. It's not going to happen. You're going to pay the maximum of the price. You've got to get your feet on the ground. You got to know people. You got to ask questions, and people are going to introduce you to people that are looking for deals. And one of the deals that Stanley came across was someone that was looking for a hard money lender, basically. And Stanley became that hard money lender, but he didn't use any of his money to do it, which put him in first place mortgage position in owning this house. So relatively, he has the ability to walk away owning this house that's worth $380,000 for $25,000. $25,000. And I'm going to get him to tell us about that a little bit. Stanley, tell us about that.
That's one thing I realized. Like, I know a lot of people, they think that you have to have your own money to invest. Yes and no. You know, you can be creative, you know, like, so what I did, and so I bought the duplex. I bought it in November 2020, and then the market skyrocketed, and then I had a lot of equity in it. So I didn't want to do a cash out refi because my interest is like 2.25. So what I did, I called a bank and I got a HELOC on it. So they didn't do any appraisal. They just went off of the comps on Zillow. Like if I want to get more money for the HELOC, I had to pay for an appraisal. So I didn't do that. So I had it there for a minute. So I did not even know what I was going to do with it, but I thought that it was a good idea to have it there, you know. And then, thank God, and luckily, around October, a friend of mine introduced me to Karen. And then I think probably in a month or so, and then I told her, hey, here's how much I have, here's what I can do. And then I think in probably a month or less, and she
Yeah.
contacted me and she told me that, hey, here's a deal I have. And then I told her yes. So what I did, I
And
went to the bank. So I got that check, sent it, give the money, and yeah. So now, like you said, I'm in first position for the house, and the house has no mortgage on it.
none.
So
Free and clear, guys.
yeah,
And
so
he's
yeah,
in position number one. So if this guy's never pays him back a penny in his life, it's
yeah,
all thing Stanley has to do is foreclose on the guy for the $25,000, and he owns the house right out
yeah.
completely. And this is a technique that he learned in the course. This is why I tell you guys, take the course, because they're not going to teach you these things in real estate, most real estate courses. This came from me learning, me being in the streets, me understanding the actual real estate game. One of the
And
things I wanted to talk about a little bit today
can I add
is about,
something?
yeah, come on, Stanley, come on.
And then so about your course, and one thing is like I took all the real estate classes. Most of these classes they focus on one thing, but with you, anything you that can be helpful, that can be useful to us, you just share it. Like, so I was not expecting to learn how to be a money lender from you. So pretty much anything, all the strategies, exit strategies in real estate, you share it with people. I think that's very good, because that's one thing I don't get the real estate classes that I take. If they say, okay, they're gonna talk about tax sale, that's all they talk about. But you talk about anything.
Yeah, because you can make money in so many different ways. And I wasn't gonna spill the beans, but I'm gonna spill the beans on this. Is that the person that Stanley, the reason why Stanley has a double deal is that the person that Stanley loaned this money to, became the lender on, has 3 other properties that this person has free and clear. And so he's negotiating one of the other properties with him, and along with, he's negotiating becoming another lender. And the guy is basically to the point now, he's like, well, okay, give me this and you can have the house. You can have the house. And guys, it takes patience. Real estate, the best real estate deals take time. Sometimes you got to wait people out. And sometimes it's not going to happen. You got to have patience. And that was going into my next thing that I have to tell you guys. You've got to stop having fear. Anytime. And this is one of the things with me and real estate investors, and when I partner with people, I don't partner with people with negative mindsets, because if you bring any ounce of negativity into the deal, you're going to kill the whole entire deal. Your words have power. Your thoughts have power. That's why they call it spelling words, because words can be spells. And so when you put spells on yourself, oh, this isn't going to work. Oh, I'm going to lose my money. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I really don't. Because now you're messing with my money. I don't like you messing with my money. You have to have a mindset. And one of the other things is that you have to have a mindset of money. You can't have a mindset of being poor. And the mindset of being poor is, oh, I can't afford it. If you have it right there in front of you, yes, you can afford it. And it's an opportunity. Windows of opportunities don't come open very often. And when you see a window in front of you, it is a window. Go through it. Full force. Know you're going to come out victorious. Because the moment you think any negative into the deal, and sometimes, yes, always go with your gut. And I tell my students, always go with your gut. If your gut's telling you not to mess with it, then don't mess with it. But if your gut is telling you let's go, then you go without a shadow of a doubt. You cannot have not an iota of doubt, because the moment you bring doubt in it, it changes the frequency of the transaction. Everything is vibrational in this planet. That's how you pick up on radio stations. That's how you pick up on different frequencies. Everything is energetic. Even your real estate transactions are energetic. So when you go into them with good energy, like you're going to win, you're going to make some money, that's exactly what you're going to do. But the moment you go into these deals with, oh, I'm going to lose my money, I don't know what I'm doing. Your mindset have to be, you have to change your mindset into a financial investor mindset. One of the things I tell my students as soon as they take the course, because they pay $1,600 for the course, and the $1,600 is well spent because I dump, like Stanley was mentioning before, I dump so much information. We don't just stay with one topic. I let you know the ins and outs. I show you back doors of how to safely invest because, like I said, I don't like to lose money. So we look at all sides of transactions like, okay, now if this goes wrong, what are we looking at over here? If this goes wrong, what are we looking at over here? Not in a negative space, but in a space of protecting what we're putting in. So one of the things that I really, really like, one of the strategies I like when in O.P.M is that he was able to pull the HELOC out of a property that he already has and still made money off of the property that he has because he ended up selling it or because of the recession, because the real estate market is about to drop and he got the highest money out of that property that he's seen, almost double for what he paid in it. And this is what you call great investor strategies, thinking, knowing, and I encourage anyone, the game of Monopoly was one of the best games they ever put out. And they even have a version now for children. Get your children the Monopoly version game and start playing Monopoly. Start playing Monopoly with your wife. Start playing, because it's a very great game that teaches you how to buy and sell real estate. What the investment is about, and owning your own. It's nothing like financial freedom. And some deals you got to be patient with, because some deals, and I find out the best deals you got to kind of be patient with. And I like to tell people about this particular deal. I had purchased a house in I think it was like 206 or 205. It was right before the real estate crash. It was a double decker. So it was a duplex. On the top, I had 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. On the bottom, I had 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Well, the real estate market all of a sudden crashed. So when the real estate market crashed, we wasn't selling, because you don't want to sell when the real estate market is crashing, because what goes down eventually does come back up, but you may not see the prices that you saw before. So this is why I always encourage people to sell. Just so happened when the real estate market crashed on this particular property in East Nashville on Trutland Avenue, I purchased it for $70,000 in a tax sale auction. And guys, I always encourage you, get a partner. Like if you don't have whole $70,000, I had a partner on this one. It was a doctor from Vanderbilt who partnered with me, and we both went in half and purchased this property. So when we purchased this property, the real estate market crashed. So we ended up renting the units out, didn't do any repairs to the unit at all. When the real estate market crashed, East Nashville just so happened to be going in regentrification. So when the real estate market bounced back up and it was time to sell, this $70,000 property ended up being sold for $390,000, and there was not one remodel done to this property.
Wow.
So we had to be patient for a couple of years, but we went away with a bankroll. So you got to be patient with real estate, people, because sometimes people know, and even with Stanley becoming the lender, you know, this guy is sitting there like, okay, really theatrically, he's giving away his house for $25,000. And, you know, sometimes people think about that, and you just got to be patient, because you're holding this $25,000 up, and this guy's needing this $25,000 really bad. And then sometimes that, you know, you just got to be patient with people and allow them to create whatever they need to create. And one of the things I tell my students when we're taking a class, some deals are going to be so mind-blowing. You have to have a conscience about the people that you're dealing with. You don't want to misuse anyone. You want to be able to capitalize off your money, but you don't want to misuse anyone. So we came up with the conclusion that And the probability is extremely high that this is going to happen for Stanley. If Stanley ends up getting this house for $25,000, then he's going to give the gentleman a little bit extra so he can move and find him somewhere else to go, maybe about 10 or 15,000, because he's making so much more off of it. So you don't want to be just heartless with your investment, because you're going to get some rock and roll deals. You're going to get some amazing deals, and it just takes patience, and it just takes having a conscious, because I really believe in karma. And when you're moving in investment real estate, you always want to be right and exact in your steps, but you don't want to be dogmatic at doing it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Stanley, tell us one of the things since you've got into this real estate journey, and it doesn't even have to be since you met me, but give us some pointers on some things you've learned since getting into this real estate journey.
So what have I learned? So I can right now, like the duplex I'm selling to, right? So I'm still learning from that. So when I bought it, I was in Virginia. So, and you know, it was kind of cheap. So, and we did not, I was not here to see, you know, a lot of the things. So I've fixed some stuff in it, but I didn't have any experience. I didn't have anybody to help me out. So I just went in and bought it. So, and these things ended up costing me some money to fix.
Wow.
So yeah, like, you know, the crawl space, you saw how I did it, you know.
Oh yeah.
And the foundation, so I have to fix that. That's something like, you know, if I will not make that mistake. So certain things like, you know, like the deck, these are things that next time I'm buying something, I have to be patient and make them fix it. Don't rush, because I was scared of losing it, because I found that duplex in like what, October, November, and I was looking for multi-family since I think March.
Oh wow.
So, you know, it was hard for me, so I just went in and took it, and I didn't take stuff like that into consideration. So I think like when you're buying something, yes, don't rush, take your time, and if you can pay or the specialists to come do additional checks, do that. These are some of the things that I learned the hard way.
Yeah, especially buying out of state. And sometimes buying out of state is good, because it also depends on how much you get the property for. So if you get it in such of a deal where, like, if you had to go in and spend 30 or 40,000, once you get there, it will work. But I happen to see those duplexes in Stanley. They're in really good condition, to be multifamily homes, because sometimes multifamily homes can require a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing I want to add, I feel like I was played. I feel like they took advantage of me since I didn't know. And so when I was buying the duplex, so they offered me credit for the security deposit for the tenants.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, I took it. And then,
you were thinking that was a good thing.
Yeah. So, and then I bought the property. And then now when the tenants had to move out, so I had to give my property manager that money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, they took advantage of me. So that's one thing. When you have to be on the lookout. Like if the security deposit, have them give it to you. They say, okay, we're gonna give you credit for it. Guess what? It's gonna come out of your pocket on the back end. That's one thing.
Yeah.
I was not happy about that. I'm like, you don't do people like that. But
that's true. But Stanley, now you know. And see, and some of the best lessons in real estate are the ones you learned, the ones that cost you money. So now that will never get past you again. It's like, oh no, they can't ever do that on you again. And in real estate, yes, you're gonna bump your head. Yes, you're gonna learn lessons, but that's a whole part of it. And my whole thing is allowing you to learn lessons that's not going to be so costly, and allowing you to understand how to use other people's money and how to protect your money once you get into the deal. Like I said, the win-win situations with using O.P.M. Other ways to use O.P.M., and Stanley hasn't got quite into this part of it yet, is becoming the middleman. And I like to demonstrate this a lot. So say, for instance, Stanley has a house that he's trying to sell his duplexes. If he was trying to sell his duplexes, and I knew someone that was gonna buy duplexes, and I wasn't a realtor and I didn't have a license, and I could just merely put those two people together. So for instance, if Stanley wanted his duplex sold for $180,000, hypothetically, and I go and find someone that's going to buy those duplexes for $200,000, then I make the deal with Stanley for 180 myself, and then I would turn around and sell it to the person who wants it for the 200,000, which puts you into a double closing. Everyone goes to the closing table that day. The seller gets his 180,000. The buyer gets their duplex, and I walk away with $20,000 using O.P.M, other people's money, and I didn't do anything. That's one of the things that I teach you in the class, how to get in the middle of real estate deals. That's really called wholesaling, when you're wholesaling real estate. That's another amazing way to get into it, especially if you don't have any money. So if you're working from ground zero, I suggest wholesaling to get into it, wholesaling. Stanley had equity. He had property he could start out working in. He liquefied some of his property. He kept some of his property, and he began to become an actual lender. So at this point, he's a lender who's about to capitalize off of an amazing deal and get him about another $200,000 in his pocket very soon. So it's just amazing. I wanted to share this this moment with you, Stanley. We're about to get out of here. Do you have any closing words, any comments you want to leave us with?
So I know you were talking about mindset earlier. So I'd say that that has to do with focus. So put your mind, put your attention on what you want. So I know when we're doing stuff like that, and when we are investing, there are risks out there. Yes, you know, the possibility is there, but you know, I would say focus more on what you want, being successful in whatever you're investing, because what you put your mind to, that's what you're gonna get. So you don't want, you don't want the failure. So don't capitalize on that. Yes, you know, acknowledge that it's possible, things can happen, but hey, you know, do your assessment and do it,
and keep it moving.
Yeah, you don't want to.
That's a good one, Stanley. That was a good one. Mindset, keeping that mindset and that focus. So, guys, my first thing is to tell you. I'm sorry, Stanley.
One thing too. I'm gonna say, you know, don't be afraid to take risks. So one reason why, you know, I decided to take the risk. So when I look at it, right. So you go to school, you take a loan, or you need a vehicle, you go take 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 loan to buy a car. That's not putting any money in your pocket. So I said to myself, if I can go to the bank, take a loan to buy a vehicle, I can take a loan and try to invest. At least if you know, it's okay. And I don't mind failing, because that's how you learn. It makes you better. But at least I know, you know, if it works, the reward will be worth it. So that's how I look at it. Maybe you guys can look at it that way too.
That's amazing. Thank you for joining us today, Stanley. I really appreciate you taking your time out, jumping in here on this. Guys, my whole thing is get in the course. Take the course. You will be astonished at how much information. I teach real estate terminology. So when you hear things like cloudy title, you know, I don't want to mess with that, or you know exactly what that is. When you hear the term risk, you know what you're looking at. Link is below. See you in the class. Guys, have an amazing day. And Stanley, thank you again for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for everything.
Oh, okay. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.